Hello everyone and welcome on back to the channel. We have some exciting Guild Wars 2 news for the roadmap and the future of this game, and there's a lot to get into, so I'm going to try to take out and pinpoint certain elements of this blog post that I find to be the most important and worthwhile to talk about. I say all this, but I actually haven't done any preparation. I'm just gonna look at the bullet points. This was very unexpected and exciting. I'm super happy to see that we finally got the blog post, and it has laid out quite a few interesting elements that they're going forward. And let me just say, first and foremost, I was correct. When End of Dragons came to a conclusion and that storyline was wrapped up, I really started to wonder if they were going to also take this as an opportunity to really change up the way they do living world and expansions. And I was thinking that this is the perfect opportunity to do so if the studio decided to ever change it up. So I'm happy to see that we are entering a new era without living world, I would say, more so just focused on expansions and quarterly updates. They say, quote, "Our future expansions for Guild Wars 2 will be the backbone of this new approach. Rather than launching an expansion every 2 to 4 years with a season of living world in between, we'll be releasing smaller expansions more frequently at a slightly reduced price and adding additional content for those expansions through quarterly updates," meaning that the next big release is only ever a few months away. I kind of like this. This harkens back to a vanilla Guild Wars 2 back in 2012, where we would get like quarterly updates with really large system improvements. They didn't happen super frequently, but they happened a couple times, and I think you can go into like the current events tab on the Guild Wars 2 website, and I think they noted it there, and it was like a pretty big patch. So it's kind of harkening back to their old quarterly update system, which was not a long-lived experience. The first release in an expansion cycle is the launch point for a new story arc, bringing with it 2 new open world maps, 2 strike missions, new gameplay and combat features, new masteries, and new rewards. In the following quarterly updates, we'll add another open world map, additional story chapters, challenging modes for the strike missions, challenge modes, and new fractal dungeon and challenge modes, new rewards and additions to the new systems introduced in that expansion. Once that expansion story is complete, the next expansion will be just around the corner. It really feels like expansions are going to be taking a page out of Living World seasons, in the sense that Living World seasons are oftentimes isolated bubbles of a story, and from what we know of Guild Wars 2, expansions have been this long, continuous, strung over 10 years storyline. And we might be seeing a system where expansion storylines tend to live more so in like one expansion, and it's kind of the end of that. Maybe 2 expansions. I could see them doing like a 1 expansion, and then that bubble is kind of concluded, but then that narrative plot line is concluded in the second expansion to really have a payoff for it. And that's something that I'm trying to keep in mind, how this system of pacing out content, particularly for story, is going to feel satisfying and have that payoff. So we'll have to just see how it works and feels in practice. And then as for the other systems and features mentioned in this little blurb, fractals! We have confirmation that fractals will be returning. They really mention fractal dungeons. I really hope that they just consolidate all of these very bespoke words and terminologies into something that is more marketable and understandable from an MMO perspective. So I would love to see them just really focus in on this aspect of dungeons, and perhaps we'll see a greater rework of the agony system. I find it extremely convoluted, and I really would play fractals, but it's the agony system that really holds me back. I have 1 character that can do tier 4s, and I have 30 characters. So it's a little bit of a pain in the ass from my perspective, a casual player's perspective, and probably from new player perspectives. I just really want to see that we get some type of PvE endgame content per release, per expansion, per quarterly update, and it seems that is what we're getting. And then for the spring roadmap, the next chapter of Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons, because we're not going into a season, we're going into the extension of the expansion, which, funnily enough, we're going to be able to experience that very, very soon. But the next chapter of Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons arrives on February 28th. That's this month. With familiar allies like Detective Rama and his hat at your side, you'll travel to a new location in Cantha and come face to face with a deadly foe that resides deep within the Jade Sea. That storyline will conclude a few months later with an update that introduces additional playable space to the map, adds meta events and boss encounters, and lays the groundwork for future to-be-announced adventures. And they continue. Unlike a Living World release, all owners of Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons will gain access to this content, meaning there's no pressure to log in to unlock it, and no gem cost for missing story chapter unlocks. Really convenient. I really hope that there are more systems in place to get people to log in. I don't really think it was a huge draw for people to be like, oh, I gotta make sure I log in for a second, and then you can just log back out. It wasn't the most incentivizing thing. So hopefully the strike missions, the fractals, general gameplay updates will keep players in the game for longer. In the first half of the year, we'll release the Suwon Legendary Weapon Skin Variant Collection. Confirmation on that, baby! 2 Profession Balance updates, a new Fractal Dungeon, and Challenge Mode. We're getting a Fractal soon, and multiple updates for World vs. World. Additionally, we're finishing rolling out the DirectX 11 and Chromium Embedded Framework upgrades, and run our usual festival and bonus events. We also have some quality of life updates in the works, including a long-requested feature that will allow you to queue up for PvE maps. Oh my god, that's so exciting. I'm so pumped. And they have some more surprises in the works. So, a little breakdown. February 14th, Profession Balance update, World vs. World, Chromium Embedded Framework upgrade. That is coming tomorrow. Oh yeah, Profession update tomorrow. And then February 28th is the new Guild Wars 2 End of Dragons map, story content, Suwon Legendary Variant. And March 28th is the Super Adventure Festival. April 18th is the fully DirectX 11 upgrade complete, which is 6 days after my birthday. And then May 2nd is the next Profession Balance update. I love that we're getting a really grand framework of just like the months to come, which is really exciting and very comforting. So I'm excited. And I'm guessing the conclusion in the second half of the year, probably like post-summer, or maybe like end of summer, we'll get the next story update. I really wonder how large these quarterly updates are going to be, and that's really what I want to focus on. With the Living World content, we grew accustomed to every month and a half, 2 months, we got some story content, but that content was really only, in terms of story, 2 hours worth, and then you'd play around in the maps, you'd maybe do a strike mission or a fractal or a raid when they were doing those, and you'd kind of go away and just work on whatever you wanted to work on in Guild Wars 2, or just wait for the next story content to release. And so with these, what I'm getting from this is that these are maybe going to be spaced out a little bit wider apart, but I really want to know how satisfying that story content is going to be. What is going to be the average playtime of these story content expansions within an expansion itself. And then they do leave us with a little screenshot of what I presume to be the new map, a part of the new map. And then maybe a fractal, I don't know. It's very green. From the teaser concept art that they showed last year, it does look like we are going back to the Jade Sea and venturing off in there, of course. But from the image, it looks very Jade Sea-like. And there are some of these Maw assets, and these are actually not new. Maybe the coiled snake-like appendages could be new, but you can actually see these in-game in the Desolation, the Maws and the fangs, and I think people were talking about Kenexai, or some like ancient evils and magics. There seem to be a lot of ley lines and magic around. Maybe some ancient evils are now munching on some dragon magic, some escaped energies just from what everything has happened. Maybe not to a catastrophic degree, but we're gonna have to see how all of this shapes up and ships out. This is extremely exciting, and I'm very much interested to see how this new format progresses. How satisfying this is going to be. What does it mean for elite specializations? What does this mean for the core professions? Are we going to be getting new weapons outside of elite specializations? Are they going to be saving elite specializations for the launch of an expansion? And that's also another thing. Like, I still hope that expansions start off with a bigger boom than these quarterly updates. And I imagine they would, because they did outline that you would get 2 maps, 2 strike missions, for an expansion, but I still hope that the quality of story is within the realm of maybe like half of End of Dragons, where you have 6 chapters to go through rather than 12 or 13. So you still have more of a bang for your buck moment. And then these quarterly updates, maybe we get like 2 chapters or 3 chapters lengths of story content. With these words come player expectations and ideas, because we have yet to see this actually take place in the real world. So I'm just super intrigued. I think this is a potential for promising content releases that are more consistent and more worthwhile. Other than that, I don't have much to say. It's a lot of just an announcement of a roadmap that they are changing things up and what those changes entail. As to the actual release, we're gonna have to see what all of that means come the 28th, which is only like 2 weeks away. So we're gonna be coming up on that very soon, and then we'll get all of the details about the content, the story, the fractal, because I think they confirmed a fractal, I'm pretty sure, I think we just read it, and all of the endgame content that we can get our hands into and sink our teeth into. But thank you everyone so much for coming on by. Comment down below your thoughts about this departure from the living world system, and also perhaps a departure from the expansion system that we know currently. Do you think that this is something you are in support of? Are you positively interested by it, but still cautious? Are you just cautious? Are you not really feeling it, or are you disappointed? I would love to hear what you have to say down below. If you have anything else to say, please comment down below. We have the balance patch tomorrow, which we're going to be playing and covering. And yeah, subscribe, like, comment, share. I don't know if I have anything else to say, but I'll see you all in the next video. Bye, everyone.